But today, what I'd like to talk about is user interfaces. Specifically, we got a request to talk about one of our user interface tools, which is the step indicator. So let's go ahead and go here. And this is an example. I'll show you how it does. This is a component that was released a little while ago, and it allows you for wizard style interfaces to provide a very simple to use interface to provide kind of a visual indicator of where someone is in a wizard or a process or things along those lines. So we see it often used in wizard interfaces for process indicators, which is kind of fun now if we use the chunked Ajax callback, which we won't able to get to today, but we will be getting to that very soon. And then also any kind of user interface element where you want to sort of tell people what the information they're seeing is related to a process or a status or something along those lines from that standpoint there. So the question was, and I'll go ahead and show you through the demonstration, you can put one of these on here, set a value, and it shows it, but you actually want to be able to interact with it, to be able to use it in an interactive fashion. And that's the goal of today's presentation and discussion, is to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and, there we go. And so Sarah's Sarah, just let me know if you're okay in terms of looking up the questions while I dive into this demonstration. Then we'll come back and talk about those in a little bit. So I'm going to jump into my development environment here, into the alpha development environment. And the step indicator is a UX component. So I'm going to create a new UX component here. And I'm going to go ahead and generate that. Go to my controls. And I'm going to go down. Now, the interesting thing is that the step indicator is actually a data control, because you can associate data with it, which obviously dictates what's shown on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my UX builder here, go down to data controls and go to more. And then you'll see we have here the step indicator. This is where you see all those kind of extra ones that have been hidden in the system right here. And I'll go ahead and just put SI for step indicator as the name of that component. So this adds a step indicator here. And if I do a working preview, you'll see that it builds a step indicator. It has a field label, but it defaults to 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's got a nice looking, very modern Web 2.0 kind of feel to it. So I'm going to go back to design and let's look at this a little bit more. So the control actually has a control properties, and you'll notice also very similar to the list in the view box, you can use a fill container structure. So I'm going to do the following. I'm just going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to put it into a panel card. And I'm going to insert that around. So really I have a panel card here with a single step indicator there. And I'm going to go ahead and click here and say fill container. And let's go ahead and take a look at the container. And so you'll notice that instead of having a label, it now fills this control completely, or with some bounding areas here so it looks okay. You don't want this one right up on the edge of the control, so it has some margin border padding that's available here. So for instance, if I wanted to go ahead and take this and I'm going to put a panel, nope, I don't want a panel card, a layout, and I'm going to go ahead and add another panel card. And notice there's two ways to do it. I can either add a panel card here, or I can right click here and say panel card. And let's go ahead and save this. Is step indicator 2. I'm learning, I'm doing my test beforehand to make sure I don't screw things up in the future. Okay. So I'll go back into my working preview, and now you'll notice that since it's consuming the area, it's adjusted the size to the panel card that's inside. So you have this panel card 1, panel card 2. Since we now have 50% of the width of the screen that handles that step indicator in that panel card, you'll see that it has a lower, or a smaller amount. So the nice thing is it's a responsive. And just to let you know, and we'll show a little bit more on this, is I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to go mobile, and I'm going to do a working preview. And this, see, notice how it shows up on this mobile platform. So it's really nice. You don't have to worry about readjusting size and doing all that other stuff. It's responsive in nature, so it's going to handle that. In fact, I'm going to turn this from vertical to horizontal, and you'll see it stretching itself out. And again, I would probably have like a, a wizard interface going step to step, but this kind of shows you from there. So what I want to talk about next is that let's go ahead and go back, and I'll go ahead and just do it in a non-mobile for now. So this is a data control, meaning that it allows you to interact with it. And in fact, let's look at the control properties to look at it a little bit more. So I went over here, you can either double click or go to the control properties, and you can see here are my labels for my step. So I can go in and create my steps. So I can say, oh, you know what, there's 5 and 6 steps that are involved with this. And once I've done that, go to working preview. You'll see now it's added those new steps, and it's taken care of creating the lines and the dots and everything else for you. So you do not have to worry about that. Then I can go in here and change things. Like if I want the dot size to be a little larger, so I'm just going to, for fun, change that to 20 pixels. And let's do a working preview. You'll see that my pixels are much larger, which may, look nicer. And then I can, in fact, change the fonts and everything else. If this is a desktop solution versus a mobile, this is the way you want to do it from that standpoint here. Now we can also step indicators as circles. If you don't, you can actually do other kind of things. You can also change the color. So we could change, for instance, the color for the completed steps. So right now it's kind of this color, but you could change it to any other color, and the same things for those. So you go there. Now the other thing that's important is that this is a data control. So you'll notice over here we have a default value. So let me go into the working preview right now. And you'll notice that it's on there. So the default is 0. And I'll show you that in a moment. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put in 3 as the default value. And then let's go ahead and go back into working preview and take a look at it. So you'll notice that based on that value, it's going to fill it in. But you're like going, wait a minute, Dean, you put in a 3, but it's showing 4 things. Well, the reason why is that in the world of JavaScript and these kind of things, it's 0 base. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I actually want just the 3 first little round things, I have to go in here and do 2 because it's going to be 0, 1, and 2. And we now have 0, 1, 2. Now, so therefore I can quickly adapt this and show where I'm at in terms of the status by just updating the value of this control. So let's have some fun. I'm going to go into the design here. I'm going to go ahead and add a panel header to my panel card here. And in there, I'm going to enter in 2 things. I'm going to go ahead and first I'm going to enter in a, let's use a drop-down box. I'll go step status. And then I'm also going to include in here a button. So I'm going to include a button in here also. I could do it on a, you know what? I'm going to do it actually right on here, meaning the moment I change this, I'm going to use the on change event. I could use a button to change it, but I'm going to do it there. So the idea of this step status is what I'm going to do is go into this and go into the choices. And I'm just going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have 6 items total, but we'll see there. And again, I could also go say step 1 and then put a upper or a, so I'm creating a hard-coded selector. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And uppercase, oh, sorry. Should have copied that with it. Notice that it's off by 1 just because of that. So we'll just do that. We'll just do this for now. Okay. So now we'll save this and go into working preview. You'll see that I now have a drop-down box and I can select, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm missing 6, but whatever. So the idea is when I click here, what I want this to do is update to match what this is. So first thing I'm going to do is set this to be 0, so it defaults to that. And in fact, I'm going to go into this here and I'm going to default that to be 0, so they're in match. So let's go ahead and show you this here. So you'll see, oh, did it not change the step status, default value, choices, 0. I'll have to find out why that didn't set that there. Should be setting that to 0. So what I want to do is when I click and select a new status, oh, there it goes. Must just had to refresh. So if I click step 3, I want this to update to show that data. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's a data enabled and fully client side. So this has what's called a value. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go into step status right here, and I'm going to scroll down here, and this is going to require a very straightforward single piece of JavaScript code, but I'm going to go here to the onChange event. So this drop-down box has a number of different sort of behaviors. So when you click on it, etc. But the one I want to do is once I change an item in that drop-down box, I want the step indicator to modify. So I'm going to go into onChange. Now, a lot of times there's a JavaScript action for there. And in this case, though, there's really no built-in kind of actions for the step indicator. So because of that, we need to go to text mode and do things with a little bit of JavaScript. And again, nothing very difficult. So what we want to do is when someone selects an item from this step status, we want to then set the step indicator to be the value from this step status. So we just need a little piece of JavaScript in there. And in fact, what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and go down here. This is my JavaScript editor. And I'm going to go down here where it says Insert UX Component. I'm going to click on there. And this opens up my online sort of function library. So I see all the different functions that are available through Alpha to manipulate lists, dialog objects, all those kind of things there. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to type the words value, set value, because I'm going to use the set value function built into JavaScript to set the value of that step indicator. And you'll see we have two of them. One is called set value, where basically you give it the control name and the value you'd like to set it at. And you'll see right here, there's some examples. So if I want to set the control last name to the value of Smith, all I have to do there. But there's another one that's really cool. So I could get the value. There's a function called get value. So I could get the value of our drop down and then set the value. But there's another more powerful little feature built in here called set value from. This one I use a lot. And this allows you to bypass a couple levels of code because basically you can say, take the value from one control and set it to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and use that one there. So I'm going to insert that. So you'll notice when I selected it, here is the description of it and some sample code. And so if I wanted to, I could copy that sample code, paste it right in there, or I can just insert it. And what it's inserting in is the basic function call right here. So you'll see we have two things. We have the control name target and the source. And that's very important to remember that our target is the step indicator. Our source is step status. So I'm going to click right here. And one of the neat features of the editor is that if I click in front of that parameter and I hit a space key, you'll notice that up came some online command or help right there. And more importantly, you'll see that that first parameter is highlighted in black. And if I go ahead and right click on that, it actually gives me a list of controls that are on my UX. Very handy and prevents a lot of like typing errors. So in our case, the target is our step indicator. And by the way, SI was probably a very bad choice of naming. Should be a lot more verbose so that it's easier to, read. Because you go, SI, what's that again? I'm sorry. Stanford Institute, whatever it happens to be. So you'll notice once I right click and select it, it actually inserts in here the name of that control in little single quotes. So now I'm going to go here, and you'll notice when I selected in front of UX control name source, it highlighted this segment. I can right click here and there's my source. So it's going to take it from the status and put it into the step indicator. So that's it. That's my little object. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to save this. Going to do a working preview. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to select and check it out. As I select here, when I do the onChange event, so notice if I click and let go, it doesn't do anything. And in fact, if I select step 2, you'll notice it doesn't do anything because that little piece of JavaScript is monitoring this and saying, if you change this to something, then fire that code. And that code, all it does is take the value of this and set the value of this with that. Very straightforward. As you can see, it's literally a single line of code, and that's all there is to it. So the neat thing about this, and the reason I show this, is the fact that step indicators are easy to implement. They're dynamic, meaning that you can just go ahead and set the values of it. In fact, you can also get the value of this if you want. The neat thing is I'm currently using this little piece of JavaScript here, but there's no reason to be saying like when I load this up, I could go find out what status I am and fire that JavaScript when I open this control up. Or I could do something along the lines of like an XBasic callback and send that little command back with the data I want to set this value. So it's very flexible, very easy to manipulate that. So let's say you had a situation where you had a series of panel cards, and as you move from panel card to panel card, what you could do is on the on-click event for, a button that says show that panel card, you could immediately also update the value of this control. So it shows you what panel card you are on and where. And I actually want to show you another trick for that actually is pretty nice from a mobile in a few moments here. So the step indicator is a responsive, easy to use, looks great. Since this is all done with JavaScript, these interactions could be happening when you're disconnected from the backend server. There's no requirement, but you do have a full level of capability to say set the data of this from like an XBasic callback or when you load the UX or do other things along those lines. Now, a couple other things about this, and this is just kind of inside baseball here, but you have the on get value and on set value. So if, for instance, this allows you to say, like when I click here, and you'll notice in here in that function, what I'm doing is basically just taking the raw value, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and setting it to be there. But let's say I wanted to, in here, on the set value, I could write a little piece of JavaScript to massage that data. So maybe I've got a mapping I want to do saying like if it's one of these three things, then the step indicator value should be 0 or stuff. So it's just basically think of it as like a little intermediate hook that allows you to go in, and when I perform step stats, like let's give it a try here. I'm off script here. So if you'll notice in here, we're basically setting it to that value. What I want to do is take that value and increment it by 1, so it's always 1 larger. So I can sit there and go return value plus 1. So basically value is the value that is brought in. So it's what value is passed in, is put in this variable here. And what I want to do is add a 1 to it so it's always greater than that value. And then I'm returning that. So I'm going to massage the data before it actually gets implemented. So let's see if I break it and if I screwed it up. So let's go into working preview. Okay, so it's going to set up there properly. Now I'll go to step 2 and notice, interesting. Definitely not working yet. So I have to go back in here. But you'll notice that it's doing this process here. And so I think what it is I have to transform this value from a text into, I think it always treats it as text, so I have to transform it into a number in JavaScript, then do the addition and return that value there. So, but for instance, let's say again, I'm off script, so you'll have to go through that, but I just turn this value into a number, then add the 1 and return that value to it, and that should work there. But I'm going to get rid of this for now because we don't really need it, and we'll go back and it's fixed. So the cool thing about that set value and get value is it allows you to transform the data. So let's say you're sending text data in, like let's say you had a series of status 1, 2, 3, and they were actually spelled out 1, 2, 3, but you wanted to translate that to a number so it would show the proper tag item. Then you could go in there and write a little select statement and then do that within there. So you kind of massage it before it's presented to the user there.